like this story, right? Nakia Aldridge, right? In 2016, Nakia Aldridge, a mother of four and the cousin of basketball star Dwayne Wade, was shot and killed in Chicago while pushing her infant baby in the stroller. Now, the story goes she was pushing her baby in a stroller near a school where she planned to register her children and ended up being shot 4 times. She took 2 bullets to the head, and police say she wasn't the intended target. Now, the 2 guys that were charged were actually brothers, and it's reported that they fired 11 shots at a guy from a rival gang in her direction, but ended up hitting Nakia in the crossfire. Now check this, right? That month, she was one of 90 people killed in Chicago that month, man. The 2 brothers, Darren Sorrells, entered a plea to a single count of first-degree murder and received a 27-year prison sentence. And the other one, Darren Sorrells, received a less sentence of 20 years for telling on his brother, saying his brother was the one that fired the shots. That's crazy. And after her death, Dwayne Wade, he slammed the Chicago's gun laws after calling them ineffective and urged city officials to do more to combat the violence. And I remember, man, I remember when, because Trump was running for president during that time, and he said something about her murder and everything, like trying to get on the good side, whatever, but you're shaking my head, man. That's a shame, man. She was 32 years old, man. Meek Mill said Little Snoop was spitting so much pain. He's from the South with a flow like an East Coast guy. And Meek Mill really loved Little Snoop, man. He was trying to really change his life, get him out them streets. But on June 20th, 2013, just 7 days after he turned 18 years old, and 2 months after releasing his mixtape, Little Snoop was shot and killed in Winfield, Louisiana. Now, the story goes around about 4 o'clock in the morning, Little Snoop and a guy named Tony Holden was playing the basketball video game NBA 2K. But they put money up and was betting on the game. I mean, some say it was over $100 dice game too, but I don't know. But anyway, now, after Little Snoop won, things got out of hand and they ended up getting into an argument. Next thing you know, Tony Holden pulls out the gun, shoots Little Snoop twice in the chest, and robbed him. Days later, Tony Holden turned himself in and was charged with first-degree murder, armed robbery, and an illegal possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Now check this. This is the crazy part though. In the following month, police arrested Little Snoop's friend, Edric Stewart, who went by the name Little E, who was a witness and an alleged accomplice to Snoop's murder. They ended up charging him with manslaughter, and this is Snoop's boy. Now, after they did an autopsy on Little Snoop, they found out that the gun Tony Holden and Little E turned in did not have the same bullet that killed Little Snoop. In an interview on YouTube, Little E, he did an interview and maintained his innocence and claimed he was trying to help Snoop that night. And the manslaughter charge against him were dropped. Instead, they charged him with illegally discharging a weapon or something like that. So he was never charged, but he was there though. Little Snoop's mother, who goes by the name Mama Snoop, still believes Little E is the killer. She said, he's like Bishop in the movie Juice. He betrayed Little Snoop. She said after Snoop was killed, Little E jumped in the truck and took off and left him. In an interview she did with Double XL, she also stated that she believes that the police are too lazy to solve her son's murder. Now, she said she thinks they're lazy and prejudiced. for a Grammy. Now, after the success of that single, that's when him and Roberta decided to do another album together, another duet album. And many of his friends thought if he do the thing he loved the most, which is music, that would help his mental illness. But a lot of people thought he shouldn't be working. Instead, he should be focusing on his health. And on January 13th, 1979, Donny Hathaway was found dead below the window of his 15th floor room in New York City's Essex House Hotel. Now, the story goes, it was a cold, rainy winter day, and earlier that day, while in the studio working, all of a sudden, Donny let out a loud scream and ran out of the studio. When they found him, he was huddled up in a corner, crying, saying some white people got his brain hooked up to a machine and they was trying to steal his music and his sound. After that, later that day, Donny, his lawyer, and his manager had dinner at Roberta Flack's house, and he was happy and in good spirits because they was nominated for a Grammy. They were rehearsing, they was playing the piano, having a good old time while Roberta was cooking and everything. Now, after dinner, Roberta dropped him and his manager off at the hotel around 9:30 p.m. And Donny told his manager that he wanted to talk to him about something really important. Now, his manager said he waited to see what Donny wanted to talk to him about, but Donny never said anything, so he figured Donny would probably call him later and talk. And later on, the manager did get a call, but it was security telling him that something had happened to Donny. And that's when he found out that Donny had taken his own life by jumping out of his hotel window, which was 15 floors up. When they found him, he was fully dressed with his coat, scarf, and cap still on his head. His hotel room door was double locked. They didn't find no suicide note. His suitcases were intact, along with his music sheets and tape recorder. Everything looked normal except the window was open and the safety glass had been removed and placed on the bed. Police ruled his death a suicide. Now, a lot of people think foul play was involved and don't believe that he would just take his own life, but some of his close friends really believe that it was an accident and he might have just slipped standing on the ledge because Donny always used to lean out of the window and practice singing and preaching to the winds and birds as his audience. His manager one time said he had to pull Donny back in because he had leaned out too far one time. Now, others believe that he probably did take his own life because he always Now, on October 24th, 2008, the mother, the brother, and nephew of soul pop singer actress Jennifer Hudson were shot and killed in Chicago. Now, story goes, according to a witness, around 7 a.m., they said they saw William Balfour, who is Jennifer Hudson's sister, Julia's ex-husband, drive his teal Chrysler to Jennifer Hudson's mother's block. Now, around 9 a.m., neighbors say they heard gunshots, but didn't call the police. Around 3 p.m., after returning from work, Jennifer Hudson's sister, Julia, found their mother, Darnell Donaldson, shot to death on the living room floor, and that's when she called 911. When police arrived at the scene, they discovered Jason Hudson, their brother, shot to death in the bedroom, but her son Julian and her brother's SUV were missing. After that, an Amber Alert was put out for her 7-year-old son, Julian King. Now, 3 days later, Julian's body and the SUV were found about 10 miles southeast of the house. When they found Julian, he was slumped over in the back seat of the Suburban with multiple shots, plus shot in the head. Now, after that, police ended up finding William Balfour at his girlfriend's house and asked him to take a polygraph test. His girlfriend admits to the police that he was involved in the killings of Jennifer Hudson's mother and brother, but he didn't kill the nephew. Now in custody, in court, the prosecutor said William Balfour's actions was a fit of jealous rage towards Jennifer Hudson's sister Julia, and said he became enraged when he stopped by the house and saw a gift of balloons in the house from her new boyfriend. The prosecutors believe after his ex-wife Julia left for work, William Balfour went back inside the home with a .45 caliber handgun and shot Jennifer Hudson's mother, then shot her brother Jason twice in the head as he was asleep. Then he drove off in Jason's SUV with her nephew Julian, and then shot him several times in the head as he lay behind the front seats, leaving him for 3 days under a tarp as if he was trash left to rot. Now, they also say that he often stalked the Hudson family home after their mother kicked him out, and that's when he threatened to kill members of the family on at least 24 occasions. But see, William Balfour, he pleaded not guilty and said he wasn't around when the murders happened, and his lawyers said that the DNA found on the gun and the fingerprints found in the SUV didn't match his, but gunshot residue was found on his clothing, on the steering wheel in his car, and the ceiling of Jason's Suburban. Plus, he was also found with the keys to the SUV. And in July 2012, William Balfour was sentenced to 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole, served consecutively, followed by an additional 120 years for his other convictions. After he was sentenced, William Balfour did an interview claiming that there was a conspiracy with the police, witnesses, and lawyers to have him locked up. He also said that the Chicago police planted the evidence against him, and he was told by his lawyers not to take the stand and testify his side of the story. The crazy part is, I remember seeing Julian's father talking about his death and saying how Jennifer Hudson sacrificed Julian and her family, talking about how she sold her soul to the devil, but he was promoting his CD at the same time, trying to sell his record. He later came back in another video standing by their gravesite saying his manager made him say that to promote his music, and he was apologizing for it. I tried to find those videos, man, but they was deleted. But you can read his statements all over the blogs, though.